Hey, this is Rhino, and you're listening to the Timo and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, helpy selfie Harley.
That's me.
Is that racist? You know, I wrote it down and I thought about it and I was like, help. I always thought about the helpy selfie like laundromat and stuff. And then I started thinking about it after I was like, yeah, that could be in poor taste. It could be in poor taste today. But it worked. It still worked.
It worked.
So I apologize if it's in poor taste, but we are children of the 1970s, right?
Yes, we are.
And helpy selfie was just, is what it is, right? So.
Yeah.
How's it going, Mr. Ben Harley?
It's not too bad, Timo. Not too bad today. Just trying to keep up at, the what do you say, the posh life of a screen printer.
Oh, sure.
Just the movie star lifestyle that I live.
Yeah,
Rolls
Jesus,
Royces,
I didn't know it was that bad, man.
signing
Sorry for
autographs.
asking.
Yeah, I know, dude. And I appreciate it because I know you think about me. You work for me.
Yeah.
But I'll take the photographs. We'll take the hits for everybody. I'll sign the autographs. My hand will hurt till the cows come home, but I'll do it for the people just because
it's that good. Things are living the dream. Yeah. Living the dream. So.
Exactly.
Speaking of living the dream, Mr. Ben Harley, I did mention that I am now an eBay baron. Correct?
Oh, yes, you are.
I've been doing pretty good, man. I've only put, you can only put up on eBay like 50 small items at a time before they start charging you fees, to put stuff up. So, and that's every month you get that. So I only got 50 items up as we speak right now. And I've sold pretty good amount of that stuff, made a little bit of coin off it, which is good because I'm reinvesting it into growing my library still.
Yes.
So I actually sell some stuff and I throw it back in to get me some Blu-rays and things like that. And I got my very first message from a customer, and it was it was just asking me about the condition of the disc, and then I got another note from the same customer saying, "Is this Tim?" And I was like, on my end, it was like crickets, like. Holy shit!
Chirp.
What do I got a hacker after me? What the hell's going on?
Right.
No, we had Mr. Ben Harley. Apparently, the customer noticed the location and the eBay handle, which is OSA.
Ultraman.
No, it's not. I didn't create it. It was created by eBay, so it took a few letters of my name, and just use their powers of deduction, and thought it had to be Tim, had to be Timo. And that was our OG deep thinker, our first #1 big fan. It was John Sullivan.
It was John Sullivan?
John Sullivan. He bought a brand spanking used shiny disc of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my old disc of that. So,
boy.
Good, yeah. So,
that's awesome.
I'd like to report that Mr. John Sullivan is now Mr. Grandpa. John Sullivan and his little baby grandson was born on, of all days, Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So sent us a picture, and of course, Angie, babies. She fawns over babies. And then looks like a little handsome John Sullivan sitting there. Yes, sir. So, hello,
congratulations,
John.
Yeah, congratulations. Miss talking to John once in a while. We'll talk a little bit, but
well, just like all of our audience, this is a springboard into bigger and better things in life, Mr. Ben.
Yes,
you start off a deep thinker, and we train you how to use the deep thought in your everyday life.
Yeah,
and business
and carry forward.
Yes. So we're like an online seminar for how to do good, and I'm not talking about the Pinocchio thing. I'm not talking about it. You've got potential.
That's it.
Oh boy, you've got. Oh jeez.
You have potato. No.
Maybe it is kind of like that. Come to think of it.
Yeah.
So, but
That's awesome.
all right, Mr. Ben Hurley,
Awesomeness.
watched a few things this week.
Lay it on me,
run
Timo.
through real quick. From 1935, watched Mark of the Vampire, which I also believe we reviewed years ago. This is an MGM film imitating Universal movies. It's a Todd Browning film who did Dracula. So that's a little Universal, of course, there. And also did Freaks.
Little movie.
Right.
Some people might have seen, yeah.
And also did Freaks. Now, Freaks pretty much buried Todd Browning.
Okay.
The movie.
Yeah.
So this was the movie he did after it. And it's basically a remake of London After Midnight.
Okay.
So there's that, but we don't have Lon Chaney's cool makeup in it, of course. We do have Bela Lugosi walking around in his Dracula outfit in it with another young lady. I think is supposed to play his daughter. Look, we have Lionel Barrymore, Bela Lugosi, Lionel Atwill. All right, you know I love Lionel Atwill, and then we also have Bats on Strings.
So we got a lot going for us.
I call that a good Saturday night.
Most definitely.
Yeah, so kind of fun though, not too bad. Again, it's an hour-long movie, but there is a bit of a cheater twist to it that's kind of, but hey, a lot of people forget too that they were still uncomfortable with this horror stuff. I mean, most films, like especially old dark house movies, had a natural outcome. It's like a Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo is basically...
And they wrapped it up real quick at the end.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Well, Scooby-Doo is basically the cartoon version of silent horror, where you have creatures and monsters, but they get revealed to be people like thugs in costumes at the end and stuff like that. So, and a lot of the old movies like The Bat and stuff like that, you get a little bit of that where it's really just a person.
Yeah, he's some old cranky guy.
Yeah, exactly. So, but enjoyed watching it. Good time watching that. Let's see here. From 1955. Watch The Quatermass Experiment. Otherwise known as The Creeping Unknown. So this was I believe the first in the group of Quatermass films. And I know this was a little bit, the Brits were a little uneasy with this because they had Brian Donlevy as Quatermass. Now, Quatermass was written, it's a character written by Nigel Neal, who wrote The Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas.
Yeah, that's in your wheelhouse.
Yes, a classic British writer. And so he was written as a proper British gentleman.
Sure.
And that old British writing basically was the Brits were good, cheerio gentlemen.
Yeah, pip,
and every foreigner was a dirty villain. So,
dirty villain, rotten.
Very imperialistic European writing. So they kind of switched around, put old Brian Donlevy as Quatermass, which I always kind of had a hard time with, but a lot of people like him in that role. So it was kind of interesting. The cool thing about this movie is that we were watching it, and I'm like, I looked at Angie and I said, boy, doesn't that look just like that place that me and you, because me and Angie went to London. And I was like, doesn't that look like the place we walked into where we shouldn't be? We walked into this spot and we see people in like suits and books and things.
American dog.
We basically walked on the Vatican property,
Oh my God.
That wasn't a Vatican, of course. We're talking London, but I'm saying
I know,
we walked to a no place where regular folks ain't supposed to go.
Yeah, no place.
Yeah, we walked into a spot that we weren't supposed to be in, and Angie said, "No, I think it's around there." But the actual climax of the film takes place at Westminster Abbey. And she said, well, we were there.
Yeah.
Oh, really? She's like, yeah, we took a picture on the steps and stuff at Westminster Abbey. I said, so we were at the place where the climax of the Quatermass Experiment is. She said, we were there. I was like, wow, I was there.
Yeah. It makes, it puts it all in perspective for you. It makes I love it. I love that stuff. Like, ooh, I know that place, but yeah.
Well, the funny thing is like, sometimes you'll see a movie. You're like, I was there. I was there.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times when I see somebody in a place in England in 1935, I'm not sure it still stands. Much less was I there or not.
Right.
Yes, but fun watching that. Oh, I guess it was 55, not 35, but still, I was still surprised.
That's a long time ago. If you think about it.
Let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley, from 2018. I said it correctly. 2018.
All right.
From 2018.
Yeah.
Watched a movie called Future World.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a James Franco movie
Thing.
kind of thing. Yeah. It's got an interesting cast. James Franco, anyone from Method Man to Lucy Liu, Snoop Dogg, Mila Jovovich, Rumor Willis. All these people are in it. And it's basically like a nod to Italian Mad Max ripoffs. I'd say it's a nod to Mad Max, but
I seen the poster art and stuff. Is that on Prime or?
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know if it's on Prime. I got it on Blu-ray.
Okay, because I was wondering. I was like, is this one that didn't do well for him or something? I don't even remember that one coming out. And I know he's been on quite a roll. And I like James Franco. I do. I think he's on all right. He's one of those guys that can be in a comedy, action movie. And still work in psychological drama, horror film. He's just one of those guys. He's not one of my favorites, I'm saying. but he's just one of them guys, man. He's been in just about everything superhero movie, you know what I mean?
This movie, it just kind of, it's a motorcycle riding Mad Max wasteland.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean. It really, to me, but it's not Mad Max. So to me, again, it's more like a nod to the Italian ripoffs than it is the actual man, which I know is kind of odd to say, but the movie, God, it really meanders around, and so does the cameraman.
You love that.
It's like
one of your favorite new inventions, isn't it?
Well, this isn't being shaken around as much as literally like he's ADD. Like he's standing there going, hey, what's that behind me back here? So he starts walking backwards away from the scene. Yeah. Like, hey, camera guy, stay on the shot. Stay on the shot, man. It's almost like he's partially made out of a kite because he just floats everywhere.
That sounds a lot like me, too.
I tell you what, though, this movie, if anyone's curious, which I'm sure they're not, but if anyone's curious as to what it is I don't like about modern cinema, this fucking movie is a clinic.
Literally, yeah.
How do you take a Mad Max post-apocalyptic world like this and make me want to fall asleep? I mean, Miss Mick is just awful and self-righteous and self-important.
Oh, God. Here we go.
It's just a boring piece of slop, basically. It's awful. It's really bad. It's really bad.
So. I didn't even really, I saw it on and I'm like, it just looked kind of.
Yeah, no. Not. Again, everything I don't like, this is like a clinic put on. It's like an hour and 28 minutes. It feels like a long 2 hours. I don't just mean 2 hours. It feels like 4 hours. Long 2 hours. Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It's pretty bad when the best thing about the movie is Snoop Dogg.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's by far the best thing about the movie.
That's not good.
Let's see here.
You got to get Snoopy Dogg.
Well, finally, Mr. Ben Harley, and I know this is something that both of us, and we've been talking about this for weeks now. This will probably be the 8th or 9th week, considering what I have written down here is episode 9, the season finale. And I hate saying those words because this is a show about people who went out for 2 or 3 weeks in the woods. And I'm saying season finale of Expedition Bigfoot.
Okay.
The show that we were it was suggested to us, highly recommended to us, put it that way, that we watched this.
Mm-hmm.
So this episode's called The Final Hours. I wonder why. It's the season finale.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Basically, I told you about the graveyard. I told you about like the abandoned shacks and stuff they were finding and things. Now, the more you watch this, the more you know, like, that's not a shock. If it's a shock to the cast, not to the producers. It can't be. You think that they're going to put money into something? Anyway. So we got that. Now, they find mine entrances.
They find what?
Mine entrances.
Okay.
Like coal mines, mineral mines. Well, the mines happen to be, I don't remember what it's called, but it's a mineral that's very toxic to humans, so they can't go in it. So they get like a little drone that can go.
Run that in there.
Yeah, that can go in there. But the drone didn't find nothing.
No.
No, well, they found some green foliage that could be a nest. They don't know how it got in there. It could be a nest. When the drone comes out, they find it has a little hair on it. Okay.
Okay.
They and some of the hair is human. Well, this is another issue I have with the Bigfoot research. Okay. The Bigfoot researchers have now pretty much like steered themselves toward Bigfoot hairs and human hairs are so alike that they can be confused for each other, including the DNA. Well, then don't look for DNA evidence.
Yeah.
What's the point? If it looks like human DNA evidence, are you feeling me with, is my stuttering, like, are you feeling like the issues I'm having and my stomach is turning upside down, even saying this stuff going,
well, it's because it's, Tim, it's the same stuff too. Most of the same stuff that we've seen over and over and over. And then now, now you're kind of, not cherry picking now you're falling back. Well, maybe it can just be they're too similar to each other that we can't for crying out loud. Well, now we're starting.
They keep saying, how is this out here? You're out there.
Yes.
You are out there. How?
Yes.
That's how. Backtrack to your house. Yeah. Then go to where you're standing. That's how it happens. And it happens. Listen, people, there is a graveyard out there and cabins.
Yeah. Yes.
It's more than possible. It's probable. It's like, God, so it's just so hard for me. And it's not that it's the shows, Harley. It's not, the shows are not kind to the people. They're not kind to the researchers. They show the craziest moments the researchers are having. I promise you that. I mean, you could have a moment where you break down and go, wow, I really think this could be Sasquatch related. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, wait a minute. No, it could be this and that. Well, they show the moment where they have the epiphany. This could be a Sasquatch moment, and conveniently edit out the minute later where they're going, well, maybe not. No, I'm just scared, or I'm just amped up because I'm out here right now.
Or you figure out you debunk it.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So what blows my mind though is that they had the very end of the season finale. I don't like season finale. I don't like. This is what I don't like about television series. Right. I wanted this to end. I wanted this to end. I mean, just end. This start, finish, start, middle, end. Give me it. Give me what happened out there. They did have cameras set up, I think, around the wherever they were out there, the home base or wherever.
Okay.
One of the cameras did find footage of something walking.
Sure.
And then it's open-ended, I guess, for a new season. Now, it looked to me like a person walking in a little clearing, pretty far away. Well, of course, I always say that's what Bigfoot would kind of look like, is a person far away walking. Yeah. Can't tell what it was, couldn't see. It was mildly intriguing. But my problem I have, it's probably the most intriguing thing that I've seen in this whole show for 9 episodes. 9 episodes. It's the most intriguing thing I've not heard. Not a story. I've heard some good stories and stuff, but it's the most intriguing thing I'd seen. And it's the very last thing you see after 9 hours of this stuff. To someone who is I'm not a believer. I am a very curious and open-minded skeptic who it could exist.
Sure.
But it could not. But I personally think that the evidence, the eyewitness evidence over centuries is the strongest.
Yes.
Evidence.
and there's lots of it.
Yes.
I think you and I touched on this the other day too. Think of how many thousands of witnesses that don't come forward too. There's
I think we need fresh people, and I think that's what this is a little bit to me, but it's only fresh to what we've seen. I think we need more, and this is I'm not suggesting that Laurel and Hardy, me and you are the right answers here. But what I'm saying is that, for instance, like there's this. Remember I told you about the tree? Like I said, yes, trees break, and fall. They do.
Yes.
That is what. Yes, one tree in the middle of a forest will break and fall.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a force that knocks them all down. One will break. A big fat tree will break that you don't know how it happened. It will break and it will fall. Okay. So what I don't like is when you see something like that, and then I see this Ronnie LeBlanc guy come up and telling the young lady out there, see, Bigfoot will push trees over and break them to scare away humans. Whoa. So what was a Bigfoot practicing to scare a human up in the Oregon mountains? And just for the fuck of it said, fuck you, tree. I'm going to scare a human. Yeah. I hope that scared the nearest human 80 miles away. What are you talking about? Like, really, no, seriously, what are you talking about? I mean, it's just, to me, I'm just like, no. And look, the evidence, like, I don't know, man. I mean, they did replay, and I kind of got sucked into watching this because I couldn't remember what I'd seen and not seen. But they did replay a little bit of the previous episode where they had the thermal image. But I thought the whole show was going to be based around, which really, honestly, it kind of was. I was right. I mean, it kind of was based off that. I still didn't really see what the experts were seeing, but they took that to a couple of looked like pretty, again, I said this earlier, but heavy hitting experts, and they were pretty wowed by it. But again, if you're going to have a show, it depends, I guess, what your aim is. If your aim is to take a skeptic or someone and really thumb it in their face, this ain't the way to do it. This ain't the way to do it. This is not the way to take a skeptic and make them think about it. The Monster Quest show where they used mathematics and stuff with the dimensions of the being and the Patterson, that's how you take a skeptic and make him think.
Yes.
Tell that whole story. Like, tell that whole story and bring back the photos of that and stuff and tell that story and really pick it apart for 2 hours. You could take the Patterson-Gimlin footage, I think, and make a 5-episode series out of it.
You could, yeah. You could, and then the people know what they did after. Mm-hmm. You know, they didn't just see it and run away. They went back there. They tracked it. They saw there was others, and and things like that. And these are people who are trackers. These are people that do this stuff for a living. They're not just people that, oh yeah, I saw a print here. And that no, these guys know what they're talking about too. So there is a lot more to that story.
Well, to me, that footage is not the story. The footage is evidence that they're telling the truth of their experience.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's the original one. I mean, it's now people say, I saw something in the woods, well, I got a photo, and the photo's all blurry and stuff, and it looks like a shadow and stuff. Well, that's their version of it. Theirs is really good. It's not. It's only blurry because of the nature of how it was shot.
Sure.
And blurry is not the right word. A little out of focus.
No.
It could be focused more, but I think it's like 8 or 16 millimeter. And stuff. So it's pretty far away.
Yeah.
That's not blurry. It's far away. So if you actually take it and zoom back to where they were shooting it, if I'm not mistaken, it was pretty far away, and they zoomed a little bit in. But what we're seeing is usually that image blown up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Because Ben Harley here, I think, has watched another show on this. So he wants to speak on it. I think they talk a little bit about that footage. Am I correct?
Did they actually.
What was one you watched?
I watched the Bigfoot Reflections.
Okay, now you said that's one that we both liked a lot. I just don't recall. I don't recall the title mentioned. In the show. Yeah,
showing it to our good friend and partner in mind crime, Daniel Hicks. Yes,
I showed it to Danny Hicks.
Yeah,
did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, and this one's Bigfoot Reflections. Okay. What I liked about this, Timo, is this, and I guess. Mostly because it does key on a lot of the things that I think are very important in the Bigfoot. Bigfoot lore, I guess, and or how I feel about Bigfoot. So I guess I don't want to say it's one I like because it cherry picks anything, but yet it's just common sense things and stuff too. Now, one of the gentlemen that they talked to in the show is a Native American who was also a forester, and it talks to him about they had an encounter. He's had a few encounters over his life, but like he said, when he was younger, the elders would tell him just to keep him out of the woods, that they're going to come and take you. And
like
the
a ghost
funny
story
thing is,
to scare the kid from wandering away.
Yeah. But until he finally saw it himself, then he was fascinated from that point and had a few other experiences. But my thing is, a lot of it's got to be common sense. And this is not about the tree knocking and tree structures, and all those things. It's just your common sense stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the gentleman said, there's so much wilderness out there that you're really taking your life into your own hands going into many of these places. And that he said, and these are the guys that call stuff the bush. I mean, these guys call it the bush. These are bushmen. These are guys that have been out there. They don't, they're no nonsense fellas. It's not like, oh yeah, we just go out in the woods and we, walk around. No. Oh, these guys live out there. They go as far as you can go out in these places.
Right.
Now, what I liked about it, he said, I've found shredded clothes and backpacks and things like that. And now he's not saying it's Bigfoot. He just said, but I don't know how these people met their end. Mm-hmm. So what he's saying, it's dangerous out there, But what I also liked what he said, he's like, he's been in places that are so remote. He said you could hide a dinosaur in these places and no one would ever know about it. And I believe that. And I know it's a big statement to make, but it's almost flipping true though. There is so many places that are so remote you could hide, like prehistoric animals up there, and no one would ever know. No one would ever know.
Trying to impress upon you that it's remote, and that a giant purple dinosaur could be out there, and no one would know because no one's looking. No one cares.
No one's looking.
Yeah,
exactly. And people, there's so many places that we haven't. Our feet have not trodden. You know what I mean? And so, what he was also saying in this, and I know I've keyed on this a few times too before, where he said I've been in places, and now he's a human and he's going there, so people are going there. And I understand that. But like the gentleman said too, now I've been places where I've walked on top of a log or over a log and I pushed back a bush or something to step down, and there's a track. There's a Bigfoot track there. And they followed it or whatever. But like you said, who is going to be up there hoaxing these things, putting, these tracks out there where people are not likely to go or haven't gone in a long time. Now, like he said, now this sounds stupid, not really stupid, but if you're going to hoax some stuff like that, like he said, you're going to be going down somewhere where people are, and people are going to come across it. You're not, it's just not going to randomly be somewhere. And it's like, and just the way the track was and stuff over top of it and things like that. He's like, it's not, no one did that. He said, like he said, it is ludicrous to think that someone is out there doing that, and still, and that's just for me one of my key points of all. It is just.
Let's take that for a second and kind of break that down a little bit. So, do you think though also that the Bigfoot researchers could jump to before you even say anything?
Yeah,
could they jump and go, it's not a hoax, so don't even bother. Like, I didn't say it was a hoax. What I'm saying is you could be mistaken at what the kind of print that was. Sure, now, on the other hand, because that to me is like, I don't think you can even argue that point. I think that's so correct. When someone says, well, what would they be doing hoaxing out there? Sometimes I think that people will argue with you and you didn't say anything.
Sure.
Almost in a way. So to me, it's like if one walks across a road, that is a potential hoax. Yeah. If someone finds prints 80 miles away from the nearest human, then that could be a mistake to me, as opposed to, I'm not saying it's, and I'm not even saying the Bigfoot researcher is hoaxing it. Yeah, I'm not even saying that. But I'm just saying, I'm just
I know, but I'm just saying with these people though, like this is people that are out and live out there. I don't think they're going to mistake too many prints for a human, or if somebody's out there walking in bare feet out there, you're like that. I don't know.
I just think it's a more legitimate argument. That's all. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I think it's more legit to kind of.
But I just think that, and what was nice too, they had John Bendernagel on there, and that poor guy. I feel for that guy because he never got to see a Bigfoot. But like what he was saying too is, with the scientists, it's not that they're just looking the other way. They don't want to know. And he was saying, now I can go out in an area and find some tracks of bear and some cougar, where all these things, and say, and I can come back and say, okay, well, there's bear in this area, and there's this, that, the other thing, without even seeing one. And that's their conclusion. You know what I mean?
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
But here's these other, there's just as much stuff being found, or maybe not as much, you know what I'm saying, Tim? But there's stuff being found that where you could say, okay, well, there's a bipedal something walking around here.
Right.
It could be human or whatever, but the same basis that they take for what all these other animals are out there, they completely dismiss that. Okay, well, no, it's not a big. What are you saying? I just and we know it, and it all comes down. And what I like about this one, Timo, and it's a lot of skeptics in there too, and they're not all rose, which is nice. I like it because they have a scientist on there, and he's saying, one of the reasons they won't follow it and they're not going to do it, and blah blah blah.
Right, sure.
But they also have other guys who are healthy skeptics, but just are fascinated, like you, with and
you're open-minded to it. You have to be scientific. You have to be open-minded to wherever the conclusions go.
Yes. Yeah, and I love the one guy says, like we do, if it exists, and you hear me say it a lot too, if it exists, I myself believe it does, but if it exists, this is, and I like that, and I like the fact that, what's the one gentleman saying there, and this is awesome, and he's one we've seen too, and a few. He's I think he's a British gentleman.
That's John Kirk.
That's John Kirk. Yeah, black hair. Yeah, he says it and I know we've seen him in a few, and he's kind of a healthy skeptic as well too. But I think what he says, how did he put it? He said, "Now, when I say that I believe in Bigfoot or whatever, or talk about Bigfoot, people say you're stark raving mad, you're crazy." And he says, "Okay, let's think about this. What else in my life can you look at and say you're completely off your rocker?" He's like, "I'm a very, and I look at that like as you and I too, Timo. What other things in our life do you look at and say, boy, you're crazy? So what makes you think that I've thrown all my reasonable reasoning out the window?" And just because, I'm that fascinated basically with this thing that I've thrown all reasoning out the window, and I just believe. I just think the same thing. What makes you think that I'm so crazy that I have thrown all reasoning out the window just because of this one thing? What makes you think? What makes you say that I'm crazy?
If I'm crazy, I'm crazy about this one thing. We've made that point a lot of times. The people that we've talked to, if they're crazy, they're crazy. Now, hold on.
I'm a pretty reasonable person, Timo. I like to determine, or I like to dissect things. I'm not the best at it. Sometimes I get, look what's over here, and something's going on. You know what I mean? But I'm pretty good at dissecting things, especially anything visual. Now, the other night, Timo, I saw a calico cat. Okay, I saw a calico cat, and it was dark out, Timo. It was very dark out when I was leaving my daughter Ruby's house. Okay, I saw a calico cat run across the street. Okay, I saw it for about 4 seconds. Now, it was mostly white, brown, a light brown, and a little darker brown in spots. Okay, I watched this cat. Now, nobody can come back and tell me, "No, Ben, that might have been a raccoon." No, it was a cat. No, Ben, that could have been a possum. No, it was a cat. It was a calico cat. No, it could have been a baby deer. No, it was a cat. It was a calico cat. It was a medium-sized one. It was sort of skinny. All right. Why is it that people can see this thing and see it for a long period of time, and you can and these are people who are out in the woods, these are people who are rural, live rural like you do, Timo, and things, and you're going to tell me that this person, no, that was a deer peeking around a tree, or this was, bullshit. This people know what they saw. And one of the stories too in this was funny. This lady saw it, and a lot of these places they were going, Timo, these roads, what this road's called, like Bigfoot Pass, or this is called Sasquatch Lane, because they see there's so many sightings on these certain highways and things like that. And the one lady had saw one, and the gentleman was recounting her story. He said, yeah, she saw it. And her daughter, who was little, 3-4 years old, she said she saw a giant monkey. Now, you tell me that little kid didn't, what it saw looked like a monkey to her,
right?
Giant monkey. Now, come on, man. And maybe it was a guy in a gorilla suit running across the street, but the kid said, I saw a giant monkey.
Right.
And my thing is, people are a lot smarter, and I understand, Tim, and I do this all the time now. And I know I'm being goofy about that cat, but that's what I saw the other night. And in my mind, I figured I'm watching this thing because I do this so much now, because some things I'll catch out of my eye and I'm like, okay, that looks like, no, it's something a little different. So I can see how people can be tricked. But if you see something, now, if I saw something for a second and it looked like, I'm not going to say, oh my God, that was a Bigfoot, unless it was something very, very, an image or something very stark that I could say. But if it's something very blurry and it was out of my corner of my eye, I can't say it was anything. But, it could have been a bush. You know what I mean? But if I saw something that was for 5 to 10 seconds, or it was watching me and it was moving around and up and down and stuff like that, you're going to be able to determine sooner or later what that is, because your mind is racing. What is that? You're breaking down. What is that? Is that, so I just think that a lot more of the eyewitness accounts should be taken into account a little bit more. And that I don't think that all this stuff could have been faked. All these different Native American tribes that have different names for it, that have never met each other, all these different places around the continent, or the world on different continents that have the same type of, that go back way back into history, that this is all just mumbo jumbo. I just don't understand it. And
kind of reminds me of
I'm becoming more upset about it.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the Native Americans the first time they saw a white guy, a European guy, and they go back to their tribe and say, I just saw a ghost. I just saw a white guy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? An albino? No, I saw a white guy. He came on in a giant spaceship over the ocean. Well, are you out of your fucking mind? No, I saw it. It's out there. No, you didn't. Jesus Christ, go out there and get a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The thing with me, the reason I like to hear the stories from people is because that's the one thing that what you're talking about to me is like, I listen to people, I listen to more, or I'm more curious about the stories where people have a visual sighting and they see it. And sometimes people watch these things for quite a while.
Yes.
When I'm seeing that thermal image, I'm saying this because it's not a clear image. Yeah. I'm not seeing it. Like, we're both seeing the same thing. So I can debate you what we're looking at. Now, if somebody comes up to me and says, it was broad daylight, this was about 10 yards in front of me. It walked out, looked me in the eyes, went, and walked away. I'm like, I can't argue with you with that, because I'm pretty sure that, again, I've always said this, I'm pretty sure if a bear would have done that, you would have come to me just as scared and told me the story about the bear that almost killed you and just walked away, because that's a hell of a story too. You know, I don't know the positives of someone who's not interested in the subject at all having a eyewitness, seeing something, an experience, and then joining the club, and then joining the group of people, and then maybe they become more like I've kind of criticized Ronnie LeBlanc. I've kind of criticized him a little bit. So that's what I'm saying. Like, once you've had the eyewitness, what else is fucking out there? Wow, I just saw that. That was real. What else is real that I'm being told? It isn't. I get that. I understand it all. But I just, you, to your point, when you saw the cat, you didn't hear it. You know, you didn't find its tracks. You saw it.
I saw it.
Now, had you found its tracks, I mean, come on, could it have been a squirrel? A big squirrel? Yeah, it could have been a rat. Could it have been this? Could it have been that? Yeah, maybe, or whatever. All right, if you hear it, you just said that you're hearing chipmunks make noises you thought were birds. So if you see, so you're sort of making my point as well, which I'm glad to hear, that when you saw something, though, game over.
Yeah, right.
Game over. You saw it. I mean, that's the thing. I believe what people are seeing when they have it clearly in their face, because all of their senses are roaring. They've got their sense of smell. They've got their sense of sight, of hearing, all working together, because your eyes are what kind of focus that all together. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, again, I always say, if it's like that, man, I wouldn't want to insult someone by saying, "You sure it wasn't a bear?" Yeah, what, you think I didn't think of that first?
Yeah.
I mean, come the fuck on. And that the thing is too is
that's when your brain starts to break down. What is this?
Right.
And then you start running through the gamut of what it is to the point where you're like, I think it's a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Even if it's like
that's what some people say. I think it's a Bigfoot.
Right. Even if it's like a giant sloth or something that you're not used to seeing, you're still not going to say it's a Bigfoot. You're going to say, I don't know what it is. Now, a lot of people do say that. I don't know what I saw. I don't know what it was. Listen.
Yes. And I like that. And I appreciate that so much. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're being honest. They don't know what they saw.
Yes. My favorite story that I've personally been told, it's to this day, is still Tom Sullivan. The effects guy from the original Evil Dead movie. This guy's an artist. He's done special effects. He does stop motion. He understands how to create things. He does this stuff. Mm-hmm. He told me, this was not at an Ohio Bigfoot conference or anything. This was at, I think, a Cinema Wasteland. We talked for a while. Yeah. And we got along pretty well, me and Tom did. I know him through Danny Hicks. Like I know a lot of the Evil Dead cast and crew through Danny. All very nice to both of us, me and you and Angio and everyone else around. Yeah. And he said that he was driving home from work. He saw something sitting out in the field and he thought it was a bear. So what did he do? Yeah. He stopped. How many people see a bear? So he was going to absorb this moment because how often, and he lives in Michigan. Man. Yes. You know, like how often does someone see, it'd be like me seeing a bear around here. I would just stop and stare and soak it in like I didn't even know we had a bear around here, you know? Yes. But animals don't, they don't care where you think they need to be. They'll go wherever it is they want to go. So he's like, oh, wow. And he said he stopped and he looked at it and watched it and he realized this is what exactly he told me. He said, I stopped to watch and I looked at it. And as I was looking at it, and then he stopped talking and he said, I don't know what I saw, but you would call it a Bigfoot. There you go. That's what he told me. I don't know what I saw, but you would call it a Bigfoot. I said, how long did you watch it? 5-10 minutes? That's a long time. And even if he's incorrect and watched it for 2 minutes, that felt like 5 or 10. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he would say a long time, 5-10 minutes. I think he said 5-10 minutes because he realized he didn't look at his watch. He doesn't know how long it was. But he was telling me it was a long time. He knows what he was seeing. He knows what he was looking at. And I don't even know why. Oh, he brought it up because I handed him one of our movies. Oh, okay. And he said, let me tell you something. And it was one of those things where you could tell that he was waiting to tell somebody this for quite a while. Yeah. That would listen to him. Yeah, someone that would listen and be sympathetic maybe to what he's talking about. Right. Yeah. And I'm not saying that Tom I'm not saying that Tom Sullivan is an unflappable soul, this and that. What I'm saying is that I think the guy knows his way around makeup and knows his way around visual stuff like you do. He might be a visual person like you. Yeah, you have to determine to break the stuff down that you have to do to create the things like we do. I'm an artist, whatever, but you have to. It takes a lot of visual looking. You have to dissect stuff to actually take it from your mind and put it on paper. Right. It's not magic. It takes a lot of practice. And take it from me and Harley. It's much easier to fool your ears than it is your eyes. It's much. I fool ears every time I put a record out because I'm playing every instrument. You just didn't know I played them separately. Unless Sir Ian Baird plays the drums an hour and a half away from me and emails them to me. You don't know that when you hear the record. It sounds like guys playing in a room together. It's not. It's two people, one or two, depending on what record it is, putting this stuff together over months' time. That's not what it sounds. We fooled your ears. Easily fooled your ears. I'm not saying that people didn't hear a Bigfoot. I'm not saying I know for sure that every knock people hear is not something hitting a tree. But what I'm saying is that it's other things making those sounds too. So we can't confirm that that's a Bigfoot. I've said before, if you want to use those things to go in a certain direction, but it's going to be visual. You're going to have to see. And I'm telling you right now, the people that we've talked to that have had the visual sightings, when they tell them to you, you look, I mean, they're just telling you like, look, you believe, I mean, you can tell he's told enough people where it's like, you believe what you want to believe. This is what I saw.
Yes.
This is what I saw. Now, when I hear people saying, I heard this, I heard that, and boy, some threw a rock at me or something like that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting stuff, but it's interesting. It's not.
I can't say it's a Bigfoot, though.
I can't. I mean, yeah. I mean, what else can throw a rock? Well, squirrels have hands.
Yeah.
They don't throw rocks. I know they don't throw, but
still,
they do drop things out of trees. They do. Things do happen.
I find that interesting, Tim, but it still, to me, does not make me say,
throw a 10-pound
be a
boulder?
Bigfoot. No. No.
Yeah.
But I still can't say that it's not another human being out there. And I hate to be like that. But then again, if another human being's throwing rocks at you, they better be prepared to get hit with a rock back and or get shot, too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or something. And I wouldn't be out there throwing rocks at people in the woods, man. I would not. That's the last thing I'm going to do is go throw a rock at a guy in the woods, because that guy might, first off, he might turn around and beat my ass, or he might think I'm Bigfoot and shoot me or something.
Well,
I don't know.
As a friendly skeptic, I see it as I can sit there with you and say, yeah, but I got these persimmon trees. Ben's got these acorns. I mean, there's a lot of things that sound and feel much weightier than they are when they start dropping for a little bit. I mean,
now if something has an arc on it when it's coming at you, then you might. Right. Then it's not coming from a tree. But you're right, Timo. There's so many things.
But did you see it coming and arcing at you, or did you hear it to your left and turn and go, something threw a rock? I know, I heard it.
Right.
Well, something might have fallen out of a tree.
Exactly.
Because that happens more than you could ever imagine. The woods are not silent. They're noisy. They're very noisy. But my point is this, is that the Bigfoot might be pushing trees over, might be doing stuff. I think what we're trying to say is, yes, but from a friendly skeptic, you're not helping me. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether, because there's other processes that do that. So you can't confirm that what it is. None of the tree structures, none of the, I mean, really even a lot of the prints. I mean, there's a couple of very stark handprints and things that are very creepy and very strange. Okay, I get those. Yes, keep those, because those are good. They're real good. When I hear people taking audio recordings, keep them. They're good. It's evidence. I'm not saying to dismiss everything. What I'm saying is that is not proof, though. It's not. If you let someone,
it's not definitive proof, buddy, at all. No.
For argument's sake, let's say this. Yeah. Let's say that I have had a Bigfoot sighting, and my sighting consisted of I heard roars or howls, and then one walked across a path and right in front of me in moonlight, and I saw it. Let's just say that's a story, okay? Now, if I had audio recording of that, I could say this is audio recording of something, and then I saw it. I've never seen someone have an audio recording and then say they saw it. I've never heard that before. Okay, so let's just say that I didn't record anything, but I had this sighting, and I can tell you I was out in the forest and then one walked across in the moonlight. I know it wasn't a bear. I know it wasn't this. I saw a clear outline. Its boob muscles were shiny. I could see it, everything, okay? Now, if I heard a recording a year or two later that someone else had of a howl, that I recognize immediately, that's what I heard, then you're satisfying me, meaning you're preaching to the choir.
At this point, yeah.
If someone hadn't heard that howl and then seen something, then they're just going to go, how do you know? I don't understand. Animals make the craziest noises. We don't know all the noises animals make.
We don't know.
And you don't know what kind of noise animals doesn't know making. Every sound an animal makes. I promise you that they don't. We don't know, because you can make sounds that you don't know you can make. I mean, you could get if I tell you what, you step in a bear trap, you're going to make a sound you've never made before.
Yeah, you're going to, and that's the thing too. I don't know. Yeah, Tim, thank you, because people don't know either. Like if it's being out there, if something is actually being attacked and devoured or something. It's making this,
like a rabbit.
You know what I mean? Like. Yes.
A rabbit will make you run to the hills. It will make you go home from camping if you hear a rabbit getting killed. It will make you leave. You're like, oh my God, there's a woman getting slaughtered and
murdered
out
to
there.
death.
Yes, I'm out of here. But I want hard evidence, because I believe, and maybe they don't want me. Yeah. Because it is the Bigfoot community is a closed community. It's not that they're not friendly. It's not that they won't allow you in to have fun with them and stuff. But in reality, when push comes to shove, they're a very tight-knit, closed community. Yeah. They're like the Mennonites of cryptozoology. They really stick to each other, and they have different factions. And they have different people who disagree with each other, and they argue a lot and stuff. And we didn't know this until we got into it. I mean, we had no idea that this was a big deal.
Remember, you know what? The founders, not Meldrum, but the guys
the Four
that
Horsemen?
were old. Yeah.
And
how they fought.
Yeah, I mean, and they did. They fought horribly.
They hated each other.
Yeah, they did. They couldn't stand each other.
Times.
Yeah, you're right. So, but I think that if you want someone like myself, we need more Monster Quest type shows where people are explaining what they saw, and you need to get good, not Shoeless Terry. You need to get good. You need to get good, credible witnesses. I still like either forest rangers, or people who live like I do in a rural area and they're used to their surroundings. Police officers pretty good. I mean, because they're trained to kind of not think it's a monster at first, and trained not to shoot first, so that helps. And that stuff I think to me is much better than people going in the woods and seeing like a branch falling onto another branch, calling it a tree structure. That irritates me. Yeah, and they might be right, but what irritates me is that fine, but it's kind of like saying a pile of rocks was put there by a Hispanic guy or a European guy. It doesn't matter. It's not evidence of anything. It's just a pile of rocks.
Yes. It can be done by anybody.
It can be done by anybody. And so, I mean, these things happen over processes. I mean, they do. Yeah. And people can make them too. People can take a tree structure, a pot smoking hippie can go out there and do the exact same thing. If Bigfoot does exist, is it possible that they could do that as well? Yes, it is possible they could do that as well. Is this proving to me a goddamn thing? No. It's just, it is, and so again, I think that a show to me should be more involved with people who have already seen the goddamn thing they're talking about, as opposed to people going out there just hoping they see something. Because one thing that all of these people do not argue about is, and confirm this, the one thing that all these people that have bicker, they go back and forth and stuff, they do not argue that it's very rare to see one, if ever.
If ever. Right.
They all agree with that. These shows are not putting these people in a light for the average Joe to accept and tolerate them. And I think what upsets me about the show isn't Russ Acord. It isn't Ronnie LeBlanc. It's the producers that are showing these people in this light when me and you talk to some of these people, and they're not like that. They're not like that. They might have those beliefs that we're not there yet. But here's the thing. So there's two things that for us personally that we can do to alleviate this. We can go out in the woods and have our own experience, and then we become one of them, basically. Then when we become, oh, wow, okay, and so what else? Or we can make, I wonder, I don't know, are we more help by not having that experience and by being a healthy skeptic, but yet still trying to be on their side?
Sure.
I mean, I don't know that question.
I don't know either.
But I'm not really sure I care anymore because they're not doing much to help me. So maybe I just want to find out for myself, and just let it just fall to me, So you're going to hear this. If you listen to the show, you obviously know. If you've been listening for the last 8 weeks or so, you're going to hear about it. Yeah. Not every week do we talk about Bigfoot. We've been talking about it because of this Expedition Bigfoot show that we were, it was suggested that we watch this. So I did. And I've been talking about it. And that's kind of how I feel about the show. I on some level, feel kind of bad for the people. I don't feel bad for them. I feel bad I'm saying this stuff because I don't want it to come off as a personal thing. It's not personal at all. No. I mean, I am on your side. Ronnie LeBlanc, Russ Acord, I am on your side. Yeah. I'm basically telling you what everyone else is saying. Yeah. That doesn't want to tell you to your face. The skeptical people, this is what they're saying. And so I'm the friendly guy who's not going to ditch you over this stuff. Yeah. But I'm telling you that this isn't going to help. This isn't nice try, but it's not going to help. Good show, not bad show. I mean, when it comes to these shows, it's fine. I'm sure they did well. I hope they got paid a little bit to do it. I hope everything worked out for them, and everything. And I hope it helps their research. But, I'm not interested in a convention. I'm not interested in a television show. I'm not interested in a soap commercial. I'm interested in the truth.
Sure.
So all this stuff is fine and dandy. I'm interested in the truth, and I think you are.
The truth.
So, yeah, I don't think these things
are truth
really,
around here. Yes.
Yeah. So let's get to our official film, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yeah, let's do that, Timo.
Let's let Bigfoot be elusive.
Let's. So is the plot of this film, I think.
Okay. I was just thinking, Bigfoot's elusive everywhere except for on this show. He's really easy to come by. All right. Let's see. Now let's get to a horror movie. Yes. Okay. From 1976. What else is from 1976?
The Ramones.
Angio.
Yeah.
So right. So is what's also the
Ramones' first album, but the better of them is Angio. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So we have the Hammer film To the Devil a Daughter. Yeah. Actually, it's a Hammer. I think it's a German co-production.
Yeah, it said something about that.
Yeah. So let me get you out, movie guy. Let me get you out, movie guy, and get you a short storyline here for To the Devil a Daughter.
All right.
Here we go. An American occult novelist battles to save the soul of a young girl from a group of Satanists led by an excommunicated priest who plan on using her as the representative of the devil on earth. Okay.
Trying to bring back the Born Again baby, that Black Sabbath. It's a lie.
So the last thing I wrote down, now that you've said that, the baby's not exactly as effective as the baby on the Black Sabbath Born Again record album.
Thank you, Timo.
So I knew you were in that. Ain't as scary as Born Again, baby. No. Okay, so backtracking here a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Christopher Lee basically is an excommunicated priest who is misguided into Satanism, more or less.
Yeah.
And he's got this whole gross thing about girls and babies and keeping a lineage going and having devil babies with
continuing,
kind of continuing this like lineage of devil babies. And so he basically he'll almost like make a pact with the couple to give him a baby, and then he keeps the baby in seclusion until they get old enough to have their own babies. And so can I ask you a question real quick? I'm just gonna jump in. Do you find any benefit to any of this at all?
No.
Yeah, any personal gain, anything. No. I've said this before about these Satanist movies and shit. I'm like, sometimes I just have to bring in this up. Like, what are they getting out of this? Can anybody what seduced them into? I didn't see I don't know. Anyway,
I didn't see any promise of eternal life. Or
I don't know.
Nothing. No, I didn't see any of it.
Hell doesn't sound too great.
No, it doesn't. It does not sound like a place to be at all.
No. So we have here Richard Widmark.
Richard.
He plays John Verney, who's an author who writes about the occult.
Yeah.
And he gets contacted by Denholm Elliott, who is Henry Beddoes. Okay. So he gets contacted saying, look, Christopher Lee is this guy. He has my daughter, and they're going to baptize my daughter and make her into a Satan demon person thing.
And we can't have that.
Right, we can't have that. So Richard Widmark buys that hook, line, and sinker, I guess, really
sure
quick.
Did, man.
Because Christopher Lee sends Natasha Kinski, who plays the young girl.
I thought that was her.
Yes, that is Natasha Kinski from Cat People, Tess, and Klaus's Sperm. Yes, that is Klaus's daughter. Yes. I hate to tell you this, Ben Harley.
Klaus Kinski.
She plays Catherine Beddoes, so it's Denholm Elliott's daughter. I hate to tell you this. You might have felt a little uncomfortable watching her in this movie. That's because Ben Harley, she was 14. I'm sorry to be the person to tell you that, especially a guy with daughters probably twice that age. So
oh my God.
Sorry.
Yeah, because I thought she looked pretty young in that.
She's pretty young.
I probably should even tell Timo that she looked pretty cute in this because she's going to tell me that she's 13 or 14.
She was 14. She was 14.
Holy crap.
She was a pretty woman, but yes, she was 14. So
wow.
So I'll let you get over that a little bit here. So anyway, so
what the hell's wrong?
So Christopher Lee kind of catches on to what's going on, and Richard Widmark basically kidnaps Natasha Kinski to hide her from all the Satanist happenings that's going to be happening to her. And then, so what happens is Christopher Lee, who plays Father Michael Raynor, all right?
Yeah.
So he's the evil dickhole in the movie. So
Jerky.
he starts picking on Denholm Elliott psychically.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts like he'll
really bad.
He starts making him hallucinate about snakes on him and all this other stuff. Yeah. He starts driving him just crazy, trying to get information.
Turns him to gin, cold gin.
Yes,
and even warm gin. He's drinking it right out of the bottle.
Yeah.
Oh.
Gin demons, man. He's seeing gin demons, gin monsters.
Yeah.
Yes. So
he is a mess in this movie.
Yeah.
Plays it well, too, really well.
Right. So that's basically it. So they need Natasha Kinski to seal the deal, to complete this ritual with the devil babies and the lineage of devil babies going on.
Yeah.
And so Denholm Elliott, he says, I can't let this happen. So he lets Richard Widmark intervene. Richard Widmark does, and that's a cat and mouse between the three of them, basically. Richard Widmark and Denholm Elliott and Christopher Lee going back and forth, trying to keep, I guess, the girl safe or whatever.
Yes.
This was based on a novel by Dennis Wheatley, who also wrote The Devil Rides Out, which was a big Hammer movie, big hit. I like it. It's a good movie. It's a real good movie.
Yeah, I think we reviewed that one.
I think so, yeah. And Dennis Wheatley liked it a lot, too. He liked Devil Rides Out, which is why he let Hammer make this film. He was friends with Christopher Lee, too. So he let them make this film.
Well,
this was the last film Dennis Wheatley let Hammer touch. So it wasn't exactly... He wrote the book in the 30s, I think, or the 40s. It wasn't exactly what he wrote, yeah. Maybe the 50s. It wasn't long. It wasn't newer than that. So the sensibilities from 76 to the 50s are a lot different.
Yeah, I bet.
And directed by the Australian-born Peter Sykes, who did the Avengers, some of the Avengers episodes, and Demons of the Mind, and The Legend of Spider Forest. A couple creepy movies from back then. Right. So that's what we have going on. Yes. And then in the middle of all this, there is a devil baby. We've got a devil baby.
There's an awful looking devil baby. Oh, it's bad looking for a devil baby even.
What the fuck was that tongue thing hanging out of his mouth?
No, it moved real. I mean, it's a puppet for sure. But I mean, it looked like it was made of yarn, though, buddy. It looked like it was made of yarn at points. I'm like, what the hell is that thing? It looked.
Yeah, so that's
leaves a lot to be desired. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm gonna let you go with this movie here.
Oh no,
this was at the end of Hammer. This is right at the end. They started filming this damn thing without a finished script. That ending was not the ending that was written, and I'm going to let you roll with this, but my opinion is this. This is a pretty effective, chilling film, and there's about 5 minutes worth of film that sink the whole fucking thing.
Yes. Man, but I don't even know where to go with this one. Yeah, but,
Devil Baby.
Devil Baby, yeah.
Bloody Devil Baby.
Bloody Devil, Yarn Baby, yeah. Now, Tim, it's a pretty boring film.
Devil Baby.
I don't know. Yeah. I like Richard Widmark. I mentioned that right off the bat. I like him. I think, he was in Midway and millions of other.
Oh, God, Kiss of Death when he pushes a woman down the stairs in the wheelchair, man. Yeah, laughing the whole time.
Laughing, yeah.
It's great.
And he's just a good actor. I think he brings a lot of weight, just like Christopher Lee and stuff, too. But I think in this, he brought a lot of weight to this movie. Yeah. I say his acting was the greatest or anything, but he brought a lot of
he
weight
played it straight.
For me.
Did a good job.
Yeah.
Carried it.
Yeah. I thought it was good. And I apologize for saying it was boring right off the bat. It's well, for me, it's true, though. I think that they were kind of going for in between kind of like a Rosemary's Baby and an Exorcist type thing or something. Yep. But it just fell short.
It was based on the success of those films, is why it helped get it made. Yeah, absolutely. And I tried to be more sophisticated than the other Hammer films. Yeah.
And I think it needed more, eeriness to it. It just didn't have enough eeriness to it. It just felt like it was one step away from it. Maybe a theme, a good theme song, or some more foggy sets or something. Something a little more eerie to it. It I think it lacked a little creepiness, except for the fact that you tell me that Natasha Kinski was 14. that had a lot of creepiness to it for me, but still, no, that's smarminess, or not smarmy. I don't even know what to put it in.
Right. Remember when I said last week when we did Garden of the Dead that was 1972, and I said that the 70s were just an ugly time. In film, and I think this aesthetically too is very ugly. Yeah, it's just I don't know what it is about that time period, but the aesthetics of film it's just ugly, like very like dirty brown water, like
brown
just
tones.
Yeah, just real like drab. Depressing. It's a depressing movie. It's a joyless fucking movie. And
you're right there.
It's like it's all leading up to something, and they just didn't have anything they didn't have anything there for it to be led up to.
Right.
In a way. It's almost like the horrifying, shocking things are done as plot points in the film, as opposed to being like the big, like, holy crap moments.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I think that this is just from what I had heard, of course, I haven't read this book. From what I heard, even Peter Sykes read the book. Yeah. And he needed a job. But he said the first thing he thought was, this is unfilmable.
Really?
And then he said, I'll do it. I'll do it. Yeah. I mean,
I can make this happen.
Well, you got to work with Richard Widmark, Christopher Lee, and stuff. I'll do it.
It's hard to turn that down.
Yeah. But it's overly complex and complicated and convoluted.
Yes.
And things happen out of sorts.
Yeah. It doesn't have much of a flow to it.
No.
Now, there's a lot like of Christopher Lee, tormenting the
Denholm Elliott.
Father. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and then also Richard Widmark, he tries to bully him, but he sees right through it, which I thought was great. There's that phone conversation they have, and but yet, you're right. There's a lot of cat and mouse going on, which is okay, but it's almost overdone too much, and there's just not enough spookiness to this. I didn't really feel. Okay, there was more stuff that was shocking to me, like Richard Widmark at one point, like Christopher Lee's is possessing Natasha Kinski, and she's like kind of almost coming at Richard Widmark to fight, and he's smacking the shit out of her and pushing her around. And I'm like, holy crap, that was more shocking to me than anything else in the film. You know what I mean?
Right.
As far as there wasn't, and that wasn't spooky. That was straight up like, holy crap, what's going on? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It just lacked that for me, bud. I don't know.
It doesn't. It's joyless. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not a fun movie at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's exorcism.
Yeah. Well, here's a couple
but
things.
You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, they have Richard Widmark has, I guess they're friends of his that are this couple.
Yeah.
And one of them played by Honor Blackman, who you might know as Pussy Galore from Goldfinger.
Oh, yeah.
That's who the lady is, and that's who friends is.
She did look familiar.
They're the only people. Well, she was also the original female lead in the Avengers before Diana Rigg.
Oh, okay.
So she's a known British actress, and
yeah.
The thing is that they are almost interjected in a way to try to bring some sort of life and some sort of brightness to the film.
Yeah,
but it doesn't work because they're just there as fodder, and then it's twice as depressing. Because they're getting picked off for really no reason. Yeah. They're really not a threat to Christopher Lee. They barely believe what's going on. They're just sympathetic to Richard Widmark. I think they're a little overly sympathetic and kind of buy into what he's doing a little bit too much myself. But so they kind of try to help him out, but it's just really about Richard Widmark trying to keep Natasha Kinski away from Christopher Lee, so he doesn't get to do the devil worship
baby
procedure. Yeah, and have the devil baby blood baptize her to make her become Ascoth or some kind of demon shit. And
the devil.
Basically, the movie teaches you if you want to beat the devil, you throw a rock at it.
Yeah.
The ending is just not there.
No,
the ending is not
much
even
of an
existent.
ending at all.
They edited the ending together more or less because they really didn't have one. And I think that's what absolutely kills this movie, because I hate Rosemary's Baby. I can't stand Rosemary's Baby.
I remember you saying that. I find it just mildly okay.
That was not one. And you know what time period? Same brown feel to it. Same like icky kind of brown. It's like I'm not sitting there for 2 hours to see demon eyeballs in a crib. I am not going to. As a horror fan, I refuse to do that, because you're leading me on. You see it coming. You see it coming, but as a horror fan, you feel like you're being you're pandered to. Yeah, this movie is not for a horror fan. It's for people. It's for the regular Joe in the street who want a big shock at the end, or something. And that's what this movie's set up like. Except the only shock is that there's some very gross, very disturbing childbirth imagery. Gross. Gross.
Oh yeah, I had to. Yeah, never mind. Now,
well, gross babies coming out of where babies come out of and going in and getting bloody, and there's full frontal, not erotic at all, full frontal 14-year-old ickiness, I guess, with hand puppet devil babies, and I don't know.
Yeah, I was shocked by some of it.
Right. Well, Dennis Wheatley was appalled by the film too. And the author of the book was absolutely appalled by it. He
I can imagine.
Would not let Hammer touch any of them. I mean, he was going to let Hammer make a whole series of films because he was so happy with The Devil Rides Out, which is a great film. But when you look at The Devil Rides Out, it was only made in '68, so it was 8 years difference. But in '68, it had those colors you like, the blues and the reds, and it had that real nice Hammer look to it.
Love that stuff.
The problem is that you had movies like Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist coming out, and so where Hammer used to push American cinema. Yeah. Now Hammer stayed where they were and kept doing the same thing, and American cinema lapped them. American cinema got more sophisticated and more adult, and so now Hammer was kind of pulling up the rear, and then so Hammer puts something like this out, and then they did a couple movies like this, but they put this out, and it's like it was almost like out of their wheelhouse, like they didn't know what they were doing anymore, and as much as people see all that stuff, I don't see Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist in it. I see a British icky 70s. Feeling of,
I hear what you're saying. But no, I don't
take
there's not much
too far. But
but no, I mean you're right, because like it just had that like that's just what they were going for, but it just fell short, man. Of both of those movies. And I said, I'm not a big Rosemary Baby fan, but it's way more interesting to me than this one was. You know what I mean? It is. Well, but I could see Rosemary's Baby coming a mile away, and I watched that when I was young, and I could see that.
I'll say this:
I wasn't surprised at all at the ending. I was like, okay, I would have been more surprised if it wasn't the Devil's Child.
Right. I think Rosemary's Baby is coherent.
Yeah,
which it has over this film.
And it's got a lot of actors and actresses that I do kind of like.
I agree with that. Well, that I do wholeheartedly agree with. I like people involved in it.
But it's not one I watch. I've only watched it maybe twice in my life, but it's not one I want to go back and see ever again, really.
I think I've seen like 3 or 4 times. Last time was with Danny Hicks and Angio.
That's right. You guys watched it.
Boy. He liked it.
You had a harder time, I think, that time with it.
I did.
The last time you watched it.
I was just really having a hard time with it. But I have
that's okay, though.
I have a hard time with movies about the occult. I'm not afraid of the occult, so it's like I'm afraid of a guy with a machete in the woods. I'll buy you that. I think that would scare me. Someone coming up with a beaker throwing dust at me going, Homansanga, Homansanga, get the fuck out of my yard. I'm like, I don't know who you are. It doesn't scare me at all. I'm just not afraid. I don't have any kind of point of reference for that at all. It just doesn't really bother me. Now, The Exorcist scared me because I was brought up a little Catholic. Yeah. So if you were brought up a little Catholic from birth, then you watch that movie like this is a Catholic horror film, and that's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's really a Christian film. The Exorcist it is. Actually. It's a total Christian film. I don't know if it can be made today because it's so Christian.
And well, in that movie too, it has so many things, just sounds, and it's just such a. It was
And I think that where this movie takes its cues from The Exorcist is the stuff that makes you want to turn away from the screen.
Yes,
There's the icky, and I don't think they did
Mm-hmm.
it the right way. I think that The Exorcist does this in a way it makes sense. The Exorcist makes sense, and Rosemary's Baby makes sense. Whether I like them or not, I love The Exorcist. I do not like Rosemary's Baby, but they both make sense and they're coherent, and I see where they're coming from. This movie is almost incoherent, and it's troubled from the beginning, and I think it's a really sad thing because they're the moments in the film. Denholm Elliott turns in an Oscar-worthy performance. I believe he's off his rocker.
Yeah, he is. You feel his like anguish or his anxiety in this film. Like when he first shows up, he comes into like that. There's a art gallery, and you're just like, this guy's he's off kilter, you know. And it's just throughout the whole from that point on throughout the whole film, he's just a wreck of a person, man. And you're right. It's so well done. Well done.
The pieces of it are done well and are good.
Yeah.
Now Richard Widmark was a giant pain in the ass in this movie to the people.
Oh, I bet. I'm sure.
Oh, he was calling.
He kind of looks like a dick in this.
Well, and he was calling the British crew a bunch of Mickey Mousers. They didn't know what they were doing. This is not how you do it in Hollywood. And they were.
Yeah.
He was basically making fun of the lack of stuff that he might experience while making a big budget Western or gangster film in the States. You know. And I think he did get called out because one of the guys working in the crew actually had worked with Mike Nichols on Catch-22. So he said something. Well, it's the wind machine at the end. He said, "You need a wind machine like we have in Hollywood, not that piece of shit." And the guy said, "Actually, Richard, when I did Catch-22 with Mike Nichols, this is the exact wind machine we used." And apparently Richard Widmark completely like clammed up and realized he was wrong because Mike Nichols was his next door neighbor.
Oh, really?
And he's and they got along really well.
Yeah.
And so a guy who worked on one of Mike Nichols' most, like loved films was telling Richard, this is the same shit we were using,
This
Richard.
is the same one.
Yeah. So
that's why they turned it on 11 when they put that wind thing on at the end.
Well, I wonder how much he's a method actor.
Yeah.
Too, and they're just hard to deal with. They're pains in the asses. They give really great performances, but I mean, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? You know, I mean, considering what they put people through on set, from what I've heard. I'm not an actor, but heard enough from our friends and
you're an actor.
Yeah, we've heard enough from our friends and acquaintances about method actors. That I tell you what, you want to find an actor who's a method actor. Find an actor who doesn't bitch about him. They're a method actor.
Right.
Look, this movie has a lot of historical merit to it as far as where it is in the Hammer timeline. This movie made a lot of money, actually. It was a hit.
Did it really?
The problem was the way the financing was set up. None of the movie went back to Hammer, and it basically it killed him basically for a long time. Jeez. Hammer is still around. Yeah, they've just regrouped with different people and stuff, and they're still making things, like today, but it's not.
Yeah,
the same.
They did something. Yeah. Well, they said this was the last film Christopher Lee was in for Hammer until 2011 or something. They did another. So.
Yeah. So, but it's got a lot of great performance. Well, no, I should say Richard Widmark's performance is good. Christopher Lee is just smarmy as fuck. I've never seen him that smarmy. No, I mean, he's almost a mustache twirling villain in it, but he doesn't. He just stops short of going way over the top. Just short of it and stuff. So there's a lot of positives here, but as an entertaining, good movie, no, I'm gonna do that. But as far as a shocking, brutal, and well performed movie, it's really good. Yeah, it just. I think they needed another couple months to work on the script.
I think so too. I think they just need. There's some of it just there's some really good acting. There's some really intense scenes that I was like, I really couldn't take my eyes off, and I almost wanted to look away. I'm like, oh yeah, and those weren't even the parts with blood and guts. Right. These were other parts. I was like, oh wow, but I just think it really fell short of having any type of. It had some suspense, but it didn't have any, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the suspense. I didn't really feel. The only suspense I felt, Tim, there's a part where Richard Widmark there's like a sidewalk bridge that you can.
Oh, that was
manually,
great. That was another great piece. It's a bunch of great pieces put together wrong.
Yeah. But I was like, I liked that part, but I was more worried that a boat was going to come by and hit the thing, and I was more worried about that than I was about. And I'm like, Ben, right? Really? You know, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm out of it. Like, you know, like. Yeah. But that's the thing, though. It's just because it didn't really. And I'm not saying that wasn't a good scene because I liked the scene. It had me into it. But I'm thinking, once he got it done, I was like, who's going to shut that so a boat doesn't hit it?
Well, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a bunch of great little moments.
Catching up in the, you know, like, I don't know.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's a bunch of great moments pieced together in a horrible way.
Yeah.
In a terrible way. It's not.
Yeah,
it's,
you're right.
They did the best they probably could with what they had to work with. They needed more to work with. I just think they started shooting too soon. They should have waited until the whole script was done. It just doesn't come together in the end. It really doesn't. And it's really frustrating because I'm a huge Hammer fan.
Yeah.
And I know what this movie did to Hammer, and they were heading toward it. It didn't matter. This could have been any other movie. It could have been a movie we would have liked a lot, and it still would have had the same effect on Hammer at that point. You know, basically, unfortunately. Yeah. You know, but the thing is, like, it's kind of sad to me for it to go out on this. And I know some people like this movie a lot, and they really enjoy it. I'm not one of them. I think it's too convoluted. It's too depressing, and it's just not. All the problems behind the camera feel like they bubbled their way in front of it, and I feel it, and so that's why I'm on it. And it's an honest, you know, but it's. I think I'm trying to. I think I'm explaining myself well. Yeah, you know, I think. But I really want to like it more. But as a whole. No, I don't. No. I mean, The Devil Rides Out is so much better than this. Yeah, and it's goofy. I mean, it's got goofy parts to it and stuff. But yeah, so what are you gonna do, Miss Ben Harley?
As well. Yeah, I feel bad. I don't want to either. It did not catch me, and I'm a guy. I don't really love these type of movies that much, but some of my favorite ones, you know, Exorcist and The Exorcist 3, which I love a lot, have to deal with these type of issues or whatever, or devil-y stuff. But I just didn't get it in this one. I just didn't get it and didn't really, I don't know, it just fell short. Real short for me, bud. Real short.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it is disappointing. Good performances, though. Good performance. If you want to watch some good acting, that's fine, but you're going to have to get through some pretty icky stuff. I think that sometimes when you try to put something on screen that looks like it was kind of put there purely to shock, it doesn't hold up. It just makes it ew. It makes it gooey, like gross, kind of like toward. It doesn't really, you know. So I think that's what happened to this movie. So
they got in trouble for Natasha Kinski too.
It's a good question because I don't know if we're talking about a long time ago. We're talking about 43 or so years ago. We're talking 44 years ago. We're talking about Britain, Europe. Yeah, they're much different about sex and violence than we are over here.
Nudity. Yeah, there's some nudity in it.
I know.
And I was like,
yeah. Well, it was funny too. I think they wanted Klaus to be in it. I think they wanted Klaus to play the Richard Widmark character. I think.
That would have been perfect.
I think actually the director said, "Now look," or maybe it's the producer said. I can't remember if it was Carreras or Sykes who actually had a meeting with Klaus and said, now are we going to have problems with like stuff like drugs and going out of your mind and stuff?" And apparently, to his credit, Klaus said, "If the shoot is longer than 10 days, I can't make any promises."
Wow. Yeah.
So, hey, I mean, give him credit. Klaus said, I'm a fucking maniac, and if you might get 10 days out of me, you won't get more. And it's interesting. It's an interesting little side note, you know, but that's what happens. So, well, that's too bad, Mr. Ben Harley. So 2 for the devil and 2 for To the Devil a Daughter. And that was for Hammer for a while too, unfortunately. So, but, all right, well, I'm not sure what we're going to do next week, Mr. Ben Harley. Let's try to have a little more fun, though. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
A little less
we need
icky.
Much more fun. Yeah.
Less blah. And more. All right, till next week, Mr. Ben Harley, and to all the deep thinkers, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.